If you're graduating and you don't have a job or your next academic engagement lined up, it can be daunting. I remember as an undergraduate having to go home to my family's house in North Carolina because I hadn't nailed down my internship, and it was really dispiriting trying to figure out whether and when something was going to happen. Fortunately, by the time I was in div school, I at least had my own apartment, so that was a start. But ultimately, what I would say to people who are thinking about how to move forward and how to find a position or get to the right place is that in some ways, one thing to keep in mind is the importance of something that can be a little bit derided or not necessarily looked at positively when you're in academia, which is networking. You know, some of the business skills that we constantly see articles and books talking about. I think that in many ways, people can view networking as this sleazy tactic, you know, a way of looking at people in a transactional way that's not really fully human. And I would say that is networking done poorly. Networking is about building relationships, building connections, and striving to give as much as, if not more, than what you get. If you can make yourself really useful, whether it's about information or perspective or just things that you come across, ways to help people, you will be building your network. And that's how, you know, in all honesty, the vast majority of people find any kind of position. And so starting now to think strategically about that network. How do I keep in touch with people? What can I offer them? How can I be of help? Are there connections that I have that would benefit them, or advice, introductions, any of that? It's a good mentality to get into, and it's the way that ultimately you're going to be able to help yourself, is through giving to others. There are a lot of fields these days, media being chief among them, where things are moving incredibly fast. It's a constantly changing landscape. If you're blinking your eyes, you're missing the rise of some new platform like Pinterest. And so there's a couple of things to keep in mind. One is that is actually a great advantage to you, because it means that other people have not had time to build up a significant competitive advantage over where you are. If you're working hard and following things closely, you have just as much experience and opportunity as other, you know, legacy players, so to speak. The second key point to keep in mind if you're looking to enter a fast-changing, disrupted industry like media, for instance, is that ultimately academic credentials of any kind don't matter that much. So it's equally good that you got a Divinity school degree as compared to a business degree, because ultimately it's about you taking the initiative and creating your own educational experience. You're going to get a lot farther if you start a blog, or if you start a video cast series, or just somehow getting yourself out there, meeting people, connecting, and creating content so that you are building a personal portfolio and other people can really see what you're capable of. When I was at the div school, one of the things that was most interesting and useful for me was actually the ability to cross-register for other classes at Harvard University. I loved the religion-specific courses that I did and have gotten a lot out of them. I mean, I think about Introduction to Hinduism, which has been phenomenal as more and more Indians come into America, and I do a lot of work with startups and venture capital, and it's great to be able to talk with and engage with people about their culture. So that's been terrific. But I also look back and have found great benefits in some of the classes that I cross-registered for. So I took an introduction to nonprofit management at the Kennedy School, and that has served me incredibly well, specifically because I later had a career as a nonprofit executive director, but also just exposing me to some practical applications of some of the things that I was thinking about and studying. And I also took an ethics class that was cross-registered with the business school, and we had amazing guest speakers. I mean, the chairman of State Street Bank came in and gave a talk. And so looking broadly at the academic opportunities and starting with the end in mind, thinking about what kind of career possibilities are of interest to you, where you want to go, and looking at the entirety of Harvard University and the options afforded to you there, not just the div school, is a really useful way to be able to make use of your time here.